the manager of the War Dragon security company, named Wu Weiren. He also participated in the project of Wang Xining's Lark Manor shelter. Moreover, the man named Zhang Yi also had a safe house built by him before the apocalypse. Xiao Honglian became interested upon hearing this and asked, "Are you very familiar with that Zhang Yi?" Wu Weiren said that they were not very close, just in a simple client relationship, but he was very familiar with the shelter he lived in. Xiao Honglian, who had no concept of a shelter, asked him to explain in detail. After listening to Wu Weiren's explanation, Xiao Honglian realized it turns out that the shelter was built by their company and astonishingly cost $1 billion. Wu Weiren continued, "What West Mountain Base cannot achieve, we at Radiant Prosperity Base will accomplish. With my presence, I am confident that we can take it down in one fell swoop." Xiao Honglian looked at him. "You mean you know the weaknesses of the shelter, right?" Wu Weiren nodded. War Dragon is a world-renowned security company, so skimping on construction materials is definitely out of the question. But since I was involved in building the house, I am quite familiar with the structure and materials of the entire building. As long as we can get access to the surface of the house and use the base's large engineering vehicles, it's very possible to cut open the walls. After all, the walls are not cast as a single piece. By finding the seams and under my guidance, cutting through the exterior wall is entirely feasible. Hearing this, Xiao Honglian was secretly delighted and immediately promised a significant reward after the success of the mission. If the job is done well, he will be promoted to a team leader upon his return. Wu Weiren, excited by the news, thanked the leader for the opportunity. At this moment, Xiao Honglian couldn't help but ask if it's possible to open a gap with professional tools. Why couldn't West Mountain Base blow it open with their explosives? They have a lot of weapons. It doesn't make sense that they couldn't blow open a small shelter. Could it be that they didn't even have the chance to get close to the shelter? Are Zhang Yi and his associates that powerful? Considering this, Xiao Honglian became cautious. She picked up her phone and murmured, "Given the many unknowns and high risks of this battle, it's impossible to let Radiant Prosperity Base shoulder it alone. We must drag other bases into this as well to share our risks and prevent them from seizing the oil refinery while we act." Xiao Honglian immediately called Wei Dinghai from Morning Dew Base. Wei Dinghai had also received considerable intelligence. They too had discovered that the downfall of West Mountain Base was linked to Zhang Yi. They knew Zhang Yi was not simple, but like Radiant Prosperity Base, they had not figured out the details and thus dared not act rashly. Xiao Honglian suggested they could collaborate, which would greatly reduce the risk. Upon hearing this, Wei Dinghai just chuckled. "Just the two of our bases might not be enough. If we are to strike, let's drag everyone into this." Xiao Honglian smiled knowingly. "It seems we are on the same page. Let's bring an Emerald Waterside Base and Snow Worship Sect, uniting 4 major forces to attack the shelter." Wei Dinghai also had this intention. In their eyes, Emerald Waterside Base was just a conservative force made up of steelworkers and lumberjacks, while Snow Worship Sect appeared to be a chaotic cult organization, but their strength should not be underestimated. If they were to launch a surprise attack while they were dividing their forces to attack Zhang Yi, it could be overwhelming. Emerald Waterside Base is located to the northwest of Heavenly Sea City. At this moment, in a workshop of a steel mill, a man was pinching a piece of bread in his hand, tossing it piece by piece onto the ground. On the ground lay 2 people chained up, panting with their tongues out like dogs, begging to be fed, and occasionally barking. Each time the man threw a piece of bread, the 2 would quickly scramble on the ground to fight over it. This scene brought a great sense of satisfaction to the man. The man remarked, "Director Liu, Director Sun, you 2 are even more dog-like than actual dogs. Weren't you quite arrogant before the apocalypse?" Just then, a soldier in a green combat uniform came over. "Boss, the lady from Radiant Prosperity Base is looking for you. She says she has something important to discuss with you." Hearing this, the boss of Emerald Waterside Base, Xing Tian, stopped feeding and jumped down from the lathe. "Xiao Honglian is looking for me? What could she possibly want?" Saying this, he followed the soldier to the office. At the entrance of the workshop, a little girl was doodling on the ground with a stick. In front of her crouched a huge white wolfhound, its size probably similar to flour when enlarged. The giant dog lay submissively in the snow, seemingly protecting the little girl. Seeing Xing Tian come out of the workshop, the big dog raised its neck and howled. Xing Tian picked up the girl tenderly like a loving father and said, "Didn't I tell you? It's too cold outside. Don't come out to play if it's not necessary. If you really need to come out, make sure to wear your hat and scarf." The girl's name is Zhou Lingling, Xing Tian's goddaughter. Her father was a close friend of Xing Tian and had passed away in an accident a few years ago, after which Xing Tian adopted her. He put down Zhou Lingling. "Play with Lele for a while. Daddy will come and play with you after finishing some work." Zhou Lingling obediently nodded her head and then continued to squat down, drawing something on the ground while talking in a babyish voice to the big dog Lele. Xing Tian walked into the office, which used to be the factory manager's office, decorated with understated luxury. Sitting in front of the monitor, he said, "I was busy in the workshop just now. Speak directly if there's something. You must have heard about the destruction of West Mountain Base. Don't you want a piece of the action too?" Xing Tian said somewhat casually, "We don't really mind, but the northeastern part of West Mountain borders us, so if you're not interested, just hand it over to us. Anyway, their territory is so large, none of us could swallow it whole, so it's just a matter of discussing how to divide it up. There's no need to fight over it." Xiao Honglian laughed, "But there's one thing we haven't sorted out yet. There's still a powerful force on West Mountain Base's territory that we must eliminate first. Otherwise, no one will gain any advantage from West Mountain. Both my people and Wei Dinghai's have been killed by them." Hearing this, Xing Tian was surprised. Is there such a formidable person in Heavenly Sea City? Not only did they bring about the downfall of West Mountain Base, but they also dared to offend both of our major bases at the same time. Xiao Honglian nodded. "It's absolutely true. We've investigated this thoroughly. They aren't a large force like our major bases, but rather a highly specialized team of just a few people. They have clear roles, and several of them are mutants with very strong abilities." Xing Tian cautiously asked, "We at Emerald Waterside won't rush into action without knowing their true strength. You know, in this environment, it's not so easy to conduct cross-regional operations. We might lose up to 30% of our combat power before the battle even starts." Xiao Honglian persuaded, "That's why we must unite. I've already discussed this with Morning Dew Base, and as long as you agree, our 3 bases can launch an attack together. Once our 3 bases collaborate, Snow Worship Sect must also send troops. With all 4 of us united, isn't West Mountain Base's territory as good as ours?" The plan indeed seemed enticing, with a high chance of success. However, Xing Tian still expressed his concerns. If Xinqian couldn't take them down, can we really manage it? After all, West Mountain Base has the strongest armed forces among the major bases. Xiao Honglian knew Xing Tian would ask this and confidently replied, "That shelter is not impregnable. The person who was primarily responsible for building that shelter is now with us at Radiant Prosperity Base, and he has a way to breach its defenses. Once the shelter is breached, a few mutants are nothing to fear." Xing Tian pondered for a moment and also saw the potential in this idea. For major forces united, it would be impossible not to overcome a local power. Xing Tian did not give an answer on the spot, as he did not want her to think he was too eager. He then said, "I'll need to hold a meeting to decide on this, and you need to provide us with detailed intelligence on that shelter. The more detailed, the better." Xiao Honglian nodded. "Of course, I'll send it to you shortly. You really need to consider this carefully. I think this is purely beneficial for you at Emerald Waterside, and you definitely won't regret it." She then hung up the phone. Shortly after, Xiao Honglian sent the information. Upon receiving the new file, Xing Tian immediately opened it, and his body shook slightly. Can it really be such a coincidence? Meanwhile, in the Celestial Tribute District Snow Worship Sect Chapel, Wei Dinghai was also in contact with Xinqian from Snow Worship Sect. However, Wei Dinghai's approach was forceful, more of a command than a consultation, but given the current situation, they dared not refuse Wei Dinghai's proposal. As Xinqian was reporting to Yuan Kongya, Grand Cleric Zhao Jianhua, leaning on a cane, walked in. He told Yuan Kongya that he had detected an immensely vast aura at Zhang Yi's shelter, a surging power comparable to yours. If we could persuade him to join our sect, he might help the Snow Worship Sect achieve great success. Yuan Kongya's eyes flickered intensely as her mind raced. It's worth noting that even when meeting Ling Feng, Xiao Honglian, and Wei Dinghai, the Grand Cleric had never given such a high assessment. This implies that they might have severely underestimated Zhang Yi's strength. If so, this joint attack could be incredibly dangerous. At this point, Xinqian proposed a bold idea. Since Wei Dinghai is using us as cannon fodder, let's play along with them while also seeking to cooperate with Zhang Yi. If we can ally with Zhang Yi and turn against the other bases, the situation could become very interesting. Inside the shelter, Zhang Yi suddenly received a message. This left Zhang Yi extremely astonished. It was from an old classmate he hadn't been in contact with for years. He opened the message to see Xing Weinan. Zhang Yi's gaze sharpened immediately. This guy is still alive? Seems he's got some tricks up his sleeve. He focused on the message from Xing Weinan, which read, "Old classmate, long time no see." Zhang Yi was quite shocked to see the message. In such tense times, the sudden appearance of an old classmate was puzzling. After all, it was not the beginning of the apocalypse anymore. Zhang Yi pondered for a moment before replying to him. "I'm doing all right now." Xing Tian replied almost instantly, "Haha, it really is you. How are you still alive? I can't believe it. You've become so powerful, but your classmate isn't doing too badly either. I'm now the director of the steel mill in Heavenly Sea City." Xing Weinan's message conveyed an indescribable excitement, as if he had discovered a new continent. Zhang Yi quickly realized, there's only one steel mill in Heavenly Sea City. Isn't that the Emerald Waterside steel mill? Has he actually become the director there? Zhang Yi's expression immediately became shocked. "You're the boss of Emerald Waterside Base?" Xing Weinan sent a message. "Typing is too slow, and you know I only finished junior high school. Let's talk over voice call." After that, Xing Weinan made a voice call. After a brief catch-up, Zhang Yi smiled lightly and said, "Isn't the boss of Emerald Waterside Base called Xing Tian? Did you change your name after graduating from junior high?" Xing Weinan laughed. "Don't you think the name Xing Tian sounds more domineering? I changed it after becoming the boss. I felt the name Xing Weinan wasn't impressive enough. Feels much better better now, right? Johnny was speechless, thinking that changing to a fanciful name to boost confidence usually just shows how insecure one truly is. Johnny bluntly said, Xing Wei Nan, let's get straight to the point. Why contact me all of a sudden? What do you want to talk about? I actually wanted to catch up with you. Back in junior high, I wasn't doing too well, unlike you who were handsome and popular with the girls, and you also had good grades. He sighed deeply, adding, who would have thought I'd have my day in the sun? Old classmate, wouldn't you agree? Johnny simply smiled faintly. Isn't that just the mindset of a poor man who has suddenly become rich? However, Johnny didn't plan to burst his bubble, merely stating calmly, we can catch up on old times later. I get the feeling you have another purpose today. Then let's talk business. Didn't you previously kill people from Radiant Prosperity Base and Morning Dew Base? They are now planning to band together to deal with you, and they've also called on us in the Snow Worship sect to launch a joint attack on you. You might be in trouble soon. Upon hearing this, Johnny was immediately shocked. He had originally planned to defend against two factions, but now it had become four. This would at least double his defensive pressure. Johnny calmly said, so, are you contacting me to declare war? Xing Tian burst out laughing. You've been watching too much TV. What era are you living in to still declare war? If we were going to fight, we'd definitely catch you off guard. I'm contacting you just because of our past relationship, to talk things over. Xing Tian's face showed a hint of warmth, but he still had a condescending air, as if showing off his success by helping an old classmate. We at Emerald Waterside have no grudges with you, so we can avoid this battle. However, you need to agree to sufficient terms. You'll at least need to give me 10,000 kilograms of food. Johnny fell silent, wondering if his academically poor classmate thought 10,000 kilograms of food was a lot. 10,000 kilograms is just 10 tons. Who is he looking down on? Just a few shells in his extra-dimensional space held more than 10 tons. That amount probably wouldn't even fill a truck. However, Johnny still acted as if it was a difficult request. Let me think about it. The amount you're asking for is really a lot. I need some time. Xing Tian naturally wouldn't press his old classmate too hard. No problem, but you'd better give me an answer by tomorrow noon. I really don't want to meet my old classmate on the battlefield. After hanging up the phone, Johnny slumped on the sofa, pondering. 10 tons of supplies isn't much for me. I could give him the canned goods we retrieved from West Mountain Base, but after so many years, people change. Can I still trust him? After much consideration, Johnny decided to agree for now, perhaps paying a part up front and, if they truly showed sincerity, fulfilling the rest after the matter was settled. This call provided Johnny with quite a bit of useful intelligence. First, the shelter might face a joint attack from four major forces, and second, their attack would be implemented soon. However, Johnny was still confident in the shelter's defensive capabilities. After all, none of these four forces had connections like Chin who could access large caliber bunker buster missiles, so no matter how they attack, they should not be able to destroy the core underground 3 levels of the shelter. Moreover, their relationship with Johnny hadn't reached a do-or-die point. As long as he made them perceive him as a tough nut to crack and their efforts were disproportionate to their gains, they would naturally back off. After clarifying his thoughts, Johnny immediately called a meeting with everyone. When they learned they might face a joint attack from four major forces, everyone's faces filled with fear and tension, except for Yang Xinqin, who calmly said, I don't think the situation is as bad as it seems. Although the four bases appear to be allied, in reality, each has its own agenda. We only have conflicts with Radiant Prosperity and Morning Dew Base, while Snow Worship Sect and Emerald Waterside Base were just pulled in by them. Since there are no real grudges, their willingness to fight is likely wavering. Even if they do send troops, they won't really engage in a fight to the death with us. The others agreed with this view, and Uncle Yu said while folding his arms, our biggest weakness is our small number of people, which would put a lot of pressure on us in a multi-front battle, and it would be hard to withstand their relentless attacks. We can't be on alert 24 hours a day. At this moment, Johnny laid out a strategy. The shelter is backed by 2 low hills, which naturally form a barrier. The large snowy cedars on the hills are soft, making it impossible for them to charge down and attack us. So we just need to guard the approximately 120 degrees of our frontal field of vision. Johnny drew an arc on the map. Our firepower will also be concentrated in this position. Our goal isn't to defeat them, but to repel them, making them believe I have the power to dominate this area. After this battle, I will naturally negotiate with them to redefine the boundaries of our territories, ensuring they won't easily invade our land again. At this point, Chun Lei frowned and said, even if Emerald Waterside doesn't come, facing a joint attack from 3 forces is still a huge pressure. It's likely that our outer defenses will be breached soon, and we'll have to retreat to defend the shelter. In that case, we can only rely on the shelter's own defenses and the boss's dimensional gate, but facing such a large number of attackers, they will surely have a variety of tactics. What if they really find a weak point in the shelter? And Radiant Prosperity Base has a lot of oil and gas resources. They might use heavy machinery. No matter how strong the shelter's defenses are, it's still just a building. Can it withstand that? Also, we do not understand the capabilities of the opposing mutants. Chun Lei seemed to be suggesting a retreat, but his analysis was not without reason. After all, mutants are always the most unstable factor. However, Johnny still reassured everyone, these issues are not a problem for me. Don't worry. Just then, Flower, who was lying by the window, suddenly let out a startling roar. Everyone turned to look and saw a figure slowly approaching the shelter through the snow. Without a word, Johnny had his pistol in hand. Follow me outside to check. Johnny rushed to the second floor and took out a telescope. Indeed, through the snowstorm, he saw a figure in a red robe, looking like an elderly man, struggling step by step toward them with a walking stick. Anyone wandering outside in such harsh weather could not be an ordinary person. Johnny immediately judged he must be a mutant. However, he seemed to be alone. What could his purpose be? If he dared to appear here alone, either he was very confident in his own abilities, or he believed that Johnny and the others would not attack him. At that moment, Uncle Yu suddenly exclaimed, I recognize this person. I saw him back in the Yuelu district. He's the Grand Cleric of the Snow Worship Sect. Behind him, Joe Kier also said cautiously, Snow Worship Sect, where are they sending someone here for now? Wu Karen also wheeled Yang Xinqin up to the second floor. Yang Xinqin analyzed. According to the intelligence, Snow Worship Sect has always been at odds with the other forces. If we want to dissolve their alliance from within, Snow Worship Sect could be a good entry point. Johnny put down the telescope and said in a deep voice, I don't have a good impression of these cult organizations. They tend to be more paranoid and crazier than normal people. Yet Yang Xinqin laughed and said, it's not about becoming friends with them. If they can be of use, why not exploit that? Johnny also agreed. Turning to Chun Lei, he said, Fatty, you go out and talk to that guy. Put on a headset, and I'll tell you what to say. Chun Lei almost peed himself with fear, pleading, boss, my ability is too weak. Isn't sending me out like sending me to my death? Johnny looked at him with disdain. Your ice and snow ability is almost invincible in this environment, and I'll be covering you with a sniper rifle from behind. If he makes any suspicious move, I can take him out instantly. Seeing Johnny's uncompromising gaze, Chun Lei reluctantly agreed. Johnny told Chun Lei, I've turned on the voice communicator already. Go now. Don't let him get too close, lest he sees how we've set up our defenses. As Chun Lei walked out, when he neared the old man, he stopped the Grand Cleric from advancing further as instructed by Johnny. The Grand Cleric smiled gently and said to Chun Lei in a humble manner, greetings. I see a strong radiance in you. Surely you are also a powerful mutant. I am Zhao Jianhua, Grand Cleric of the Snow Worship Sect. Here on the order of our leader to visit Mr. Johnny. Johnny's eyebrows furrowed slightly. He's indeed here for me. Uncle Yu also remarked, this old man's ability seems to be able to see through people's talents. He approached me once in the Yuelu district, but I refused him. Later, he helped Li Jian awaken his abilities. Johnny nodded and said, his ability is indeed very practical, especially when used in conjunction with their leader Yuan Kongya's blessings. It's a perfect match. Johnny instructed Chun Lei to ask the other party what his purpose was. Chun Lei somewhat pompously said, our boss isn't someone you can just meet whenever you want. You can speak your piece directly. Our boss can hear everything. The Grand Cleric was somewhat surprised. This Johnny is indeed cautious, even being so careful about meeting an old man like me. This increased his respect for Johnny. The Grand Cleric said, I am here to deliver important intelligence to Mr. Johnny. In 3 days, 3 major bases will join forces to attack your shelter. These brutal and shameless warlords attempt to destroy such a beautiful home, even harboring the intent to kill. They even tried to persuade my leader to join their ranks to attack you. However, my Snow Worship Sect has always advocated for peace and love, and thus we do not wish to associate with them. Therefore, we hope to establish cooperation with Mr. Johnny. After the Grand Cleric proposed a partnership, Johnny's expression gradually became more animated. The situation was unfolding just as he had envisioned. The major forces were not in harmony to begin with, each harboring their own ulterior motives, simply wanting to divide up West Mountain's territory. Their so-called alliance was bound to be extremely fragile. As long as the interests aligned, they could switch sides at any time. Whether it was Emerald Waterside Base or Snow Worship Sect, both were looking to play both sides. As long as he saw an advantage for himself, he would not hesitate to switch allegiances. Thinking this, Johnny's confidence surged. The more tenuous their alliance, the greater his chances of winning the battle. He instructed Chun Lei through the voice communicator. What then is the purpose of your visit today? Is it just to tell us that you don't want to join their attack on us? Unexpectedly, the Grand Cleric shook his head. My intent is to cooperate. But how would that be cooperation? The mission of my Snow Worship Sect is love and peace, and we resolutely fight against all dark forces. Thus, our leader wishes to collaborate with Mr. Johnny to counter the other factions. I feel our situations are quite similar. Those warlord forces fear our rise and are doing everything they can to suppress us. Why should we continue to live so arduously? From this perspective, our organizations are of the same kind, so I believe we should unite and resist them, standing against the hegemony of those bases. The Grand Cleric spoke logically, but Johnny found it uninspiring. In essence, they were being bullied and wanted to pull him into their revenge. He had Chun Lei ask the Grand Cleric, if you want to cooperate, you need to show some sincerity. Upon hearing this, the Grand Cleric smiled slightly. I have not come empty-handed this time. To show our sincerity, I have brought the most precious relic relic of the snow worship set, the frost essence. Chun-Li stepped back half a step and hesitated to receive it. Seeing this, the Grand Cleric explained, the function of the frost essence is quite simple. It can stimulate a person's potential, enabling ordinary people to awaken and become mutants. For mutants, it can enhance the abilities of the gifted, making their powers stronger. Having been in Heavenly Sea City for so long, surely you've heard of this treasure? At this point, Johnny was skeptical. He never believed in a free lunch. Gaining abilities through external forces surely comes at a cost. Who would believe you're scaremongering? This frost essence must have some unsavory side effects, right? Do you think everyone is a fool? The Grand Cleric seemed to anticipate Johnny's concerns, and he calmly stated, the frost essence is a sacred relic of the snow worship set, absolutely without any side effects. This has been verified by many parties. The 4 major forces have all sought it from us, and they found no issues. Upon hearing this, Johnny was quite taken aback. All 4 bases had used it. Their sources of information were earlier, more comprehensive, and abundant than his, and they had access to advanced